Hola toda mi gente, I'm the Cuatro boy. Welcome back to another Cuatro lesson. Today I'm going to teach you guys about what montunos are, how they're used in music, and how to play them on the Cuatro. So let's get into it. So what are montunos anyway? Montunos are the note patterns that are generally played by the piano in salsa music. This idea was originally innovated by Cuban composer Arsenio Rodriguez. He would create what are called guajeos, and they were generally played by the guitar, horns, and the piano. To this day, mainly the piano plays these patterns, but if you go back to older Cuban music, you'll sometimes see the Cuban tres playing it whenever a piano is not present. So what is the rhythm that you play a montuno? Well, you have to follow the salsa clave, which is... Now I'm going to sound out with my mouth the rhythm that you play the montuno, and then I'm going to clap the salsa clave at the same time, alright? It goes like this. Bum ba bum 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 bum. If I were to play this on the cuatro, it would sound like this. This is a very simplified way to show the rhythm of the montuno, but most of the time they play these patterns with triplets outlining the triad of the chord. If I were to play the triad in triplets, it would actually sound like this. You don't always need to play the montuno in order. In fact, most of the time, it's actually good to change up the order that you play the three notes. You can start on the root, the third, or the fifth, and then go in any direction you want. It doesn't always need to be, but it could be, or it could be. A very, very good example of what a montuno sounds like is Que se sepa by Roberto Ruena. I'm going to move over to the piano and show you guys this a little better visually. The chord progression to Que se sepa is D minor, E major, and A minor. A montuno pattern is usually a repetition of the triad of the chord. So we're going to repeat those three notes in syncopation with the salsa clave, and then we're going to add the octave as well because that's key to the montuno sound. That sounds pretty good. Now we're going to add a transition note in between chords. In between D minor to E minor, we're going to do a half step to E flat and then to E. And then when we go to A minor, we're going to move the root in the octave down by half a step as we go back down to D minor. Now you're starting to get the idea. Once you get better at this, you can add additional transition notes. Now that you understand fundamentally how a montuno is played on the piano, we can move that over to the cuatro. As I mentioned, you need to play the triad and then include the octave. Conveniently, the cuatro has two courses that include strings that are an octave apart. So you don't actually need to hold down four notes with your fingers. You can actually just make the shape of a regular triad and then always start on the B or the E courses. I'm going to show you another really easy example of this, which is Chan Chan by Buena Vista Social Club. It's a very famous song. I'm sure you've heard many covers of it in many different keys. I'm going to show you how to play it in D minor. So the four chords are D minor, F major, G minor, A major. So first off, D minor, middle finger on the third fret of the B string and index finger on the first fret of the E string. You're going to strum the first three strings. Next, we're going to go to F, but we're going to do it on the sixth fret so that it sounds a little more open. So play an F major triad. We're going to put our ring finger on the sixth fret of the B string, middle finger on the fifth fret of the E string, and index finger on the third fret of the A string. And you're going to strum the first three strings like before. Next, G minor. It is the D major triad, except you move it down one string. So it's going to be middle finger on the 3rd fret of the E string and index finger on the 1st fret of the A string. And then finally, A major. To play the A major triad, we're going to put your index finger on the 5th fret of the E string, index finger on the 4th fret of the A string, and then index finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. You're going to strum those 3 strings. When you put it all together, it should sound like this. And with all that being said, that's going to wrap up today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and keep on strumming.